Okay, cool. So I've just started the stream.
Let's see if we have the audio.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just checking the page. So yeah, we're waiting 15 seconds. For everyone who's just looking at this now, we're just sort of making sure that everyone joins and can see us and hear us fine.
Let's see if we have the audio.
Cool. Yep. All right. I've verified
Yeah,
that it
so
looks.
I'm hearing and seeing everything, so it should be fine.
Yeah. Cool. Same.
Okay, then.
For anyone watching, so we're just sort of getting things set up and waiting for people to join. It's 10 p.m. for me here in Melbourne, Australia. It's midday for Raz.
Yeah, it's 1 p.m. here.
1 p.m.
Actually, I think it's the most. Usually we are hosting our events 2 hours earlier or 3 hours earlier. This is something new for us. I'm wondering if people from Europe are available at 1 p.m. right now.
Yeah, cool. So it's a late night cup of tea for me. So everyone around the world, want me for a tea or a beer or whatever it is in your time zone?
Just finish my morning coffee. Even though I woke up at 7 because of, kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, let's see.
Oh wow, we've got someone from the US with us who's up at 5 a.m. Wow, that's cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, right. So.
Yeah, did you want to start, Rez?
We can start, I think. Yeah, right. So, hey everyone, and thanks for joining. Good morning, good day, and good night. I know that this is a conflict between time zones, but we appreciate everyone who woke up really early to be able to be with us live. I'm here with Garth, and for our, I think, third live Ask Me Anything session, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think it's our third AMA.
We just had our second live gameplay, which was amazing, by the way. And I gathered a few questions from the community already.
Yep.
But of course, you are more than welcome to ask everything, any concerns you might have, any questions to the live chat on YouTube, or maybe even also on Telegram, because I'm active there in the meantime. So yeah. Hi everyone, this is our third live AMA Wonderman Nation, and yeah, how are you, buddy? Happy to see you again.
Yeah, I'm good.
How are things?
I'm good. Yeah. It's been. I was just saying this before the call as we're doing our little setup. It's 10 p.m. here. I've had a full day with my little daughter, who's a bit over 1.5, and it's been a big day outside. Playing with her and a couple of other little kids as well. So it's been a bustling day.
That's nice.
Good way.
How's the weather, by the way?
Well, it's meant to be summer and nice here, but it's been raining. It's been a very slow start to summer.
Okay, yeah. Actually, here is the first day of snow, so we weren't able to go out because it's actually just the snow only on cars, so it's not a big layer so far. But yeah, we're looking forward to something more
substantial,
strong. Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into the questions for those who are waiting. And actually, I'll say there's someone who posted about I don't know, like just shy of 100 questions on our last video as well. So yeah. So if we get through these questions that you've already collected, we can dive through some questions from the previous gameplay video too.
Of course, yeah. So I gathered a few questions. I think it's good to start with those. Yep. But also we will see and we will take questions from the chat. But in the meantime, let's move into my folder here. who has a lot of questions. So yeah. Do we consider adding some tasks with some wonder rewards or nectar rewards? Probably, I'm guessing at the launch or after the launch. It didn't mention, but yeah, that's one of the first.
Oh, okay. What does that question mean? Can I ask for what do you think that means? Wonder task? What it like is in community things to do to get rewards in the meantime, or?
I'm guessing, yeah, something like involving the community and having rewards, nectar or wonder rewards. I'm guessing, yeah, probably.
I think for us, like we're mostly focusing on the gameplay stuff. We want to sort of try to limit. I mean, I understand a lot of people sort of do a lot of kind of giveaways to before the game launches to try to just kind of keep hype and keep people there. But I know from our experience doing AMAs before launch as well, you can kind of tend to attract the wrong people for the wrong reasons. If you don't have gameplay there for them to dive into, then it just sort of tends to be attention that drops off, and it creates sort of it kind of creates like it brings people into the community who maybe you don't want it into the community, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd rather keep the rewards connected to the community activities regarding gameplay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this this was like someone asked about the tokens that they already claimed on BSC, and we just I spoke with a few people regarding the benefits that they will have for keeping their tokens in their wallets from the Phantasma and Pavilion. And someone asked, so can you please tell us more about what the Pavilion holders to expect if they are keeping their tokens and not claiming them on BSC?
So this, for us, this kind of makes. I mean, there's a few different ways we're going to roll this out, and we're sort of still to kind of like, actually kind of like solidify the total final thing. But essentially, what we want to do is have a first access for people with their tokens that's on Phantasma Chain, and still in Pavilion, just because it's also kind of easier for us to roll things out because those tokens are already in Pavilion and already on Phantasma Chain, and again it kind of connects to like the cohorts that we did for the public launch. So the cohorts 1, 2, 3, and then connecting that also with the 1K NFT owners. So we'd be kind of like starting out with a niche kind of group. So it'd be kind of like the people who still have the tokens in Pavilion and on Phantasma Chain, have the 1K NFT, and we're in cohort 1. They will get a first access. So it's a good way for us to kind of start the closed beta and kind of roll it out and scale it up. So essentially people will get first access to creatures and land. But that's not to say people who claim their tokens on BSC, it's not to say that we sort of want to penalize anyone who did that, because I understand wanting to do that. That's fine as well. It's just a matter of us working out sort of what the time frame is, because we don't want to push it out to the whole world. I mean, there's two scenarios. You don't want to push the game out to the whole world instantly. You want to start with the closed beta. So how big is that and how fast does it grow? So we're still to kind of work out that sort of flow between first release to closed beta and second. It may be a matter of days or weeks or month or something, but it won't be long. So it won't be a case that people who got their tokens, claimed their tokens on BSC will be like penalized and miss the boat. Like not at all. Like we still see everyone as a early adopter.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, there's a follow-up question. So is there any way to move the tokens claimed on BSC back into Pavilion for maybe someone who wants to have access from the first point of launch?
Okay, good question. Yes, that should be. We haven't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's make a note of that. We'll try to make that happen as well. Actually, so we don't have that feature exactly totally in Pavilion, but we've already got like cross-chain NFTs and stuff. So yes, it'll be not hard for us because you can already bring BSC tokens, one tokens into Pavilion. So for us to have a way to sort of I'm just trying to think about what the tech director is going to say because he's the guy who kind of does the code to validate this. But if it came back from the same wallet that it got sent to, then that'd be really easier for us to connect that this is the same tokens coming back, even if you sold some, bought them and put them back. But as long as it's connected to the same wallet that you claimed with, then that would be, I guess, what he would say. So keep that in mind.
What about
yeah?
if you have more tokens than the moment you claimed? So let's see let's assume someone filled up their bags and they want to move all of them. I'm guessing that shouldn't be a problem as well.
No, that shouldn't be a problem as well. We want to make sure that we don't ever want anything to become kind of like whale dominated. We want things to be kind of equal for everyone, so that everyone comes in and because we're going to be giving away land parcels, so like a land NFT. This is all still a bit sort of to be decided, but essentially a land NFT, a barn NFT, and access to creature NFTs. So we want to make sure that people with those initial tokens can get all of the stuff, so no one's left out. There's a difference in token allocation between cohort 1 and cohorts 2 and 3, but we want to make sure that everyone, even in cohorts 2 and 3, get access to creatures and land and barns so they can all raise. So already people in cohort 1 might get another extra creature allocated to them. So that said, if you bring more tokens in, we'll probably limit how many, because it's going to be cases of us kind of like giving stuff out as well. So we want to make sure that people don't come in and just sort of buy up everything and ruin the ecosystem.
Okay, I have one more question from here, and then we can switch to the YouTube chat because we have a few questions there.
But maybe a quick little follow up to what I just said is like, yeah. So even though like we want to kind of keep things equal, I think if like for everyone at the start, if people bring more tokens back into the chain and sort of fill up the bags and bring them in, then we'll do like a second release to those people as well. So they'll probably get preference for a second release.
Okay, so most equal thing would be like to bring back the tokens they only claimed from Pavilion back to Pavilion, right?
Yeah, for the first kind of release of those NFTs.
Yeah, so I have another question, and I actually don't have a lot of knowledge about this. So someone asked, what benefits will there be for the Nectar token locked in Ghost Wallet? I'm not sure that I know something about Ghost Wallet. So yeah.
So what we're going to be doing is using Pavilion as much as possible for this stuff. So if you've got tokens in another wallet, there is a way to use Pavilion with like third-party wallets, but they may not get every benefit that you get if you bring those tokens into Pavilion.
Okay.
And the reasons for that is because when the tokens come into our platform, it makes it really easy for us to do things like say from a community point of view, if you've got NFTs and tokens and you're in battles and you're staking those for other community to use, etc. Then if they're in Pavilion and we've got control over that platform, then it's really easy for us to make sure that people aren't scamming the system by sort of staking creatures and then selling creatures that have staked, if that makes sense. Whereas if it's in a third-party wallet, then we don't have control over that. And Raz, I think I just lost you on the stream. Can you still hear me? Oh, you're back.
Yeah, something happened with my internet, I think. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you now. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, okay. So there will be obviously more benefits for those who keep their Nectar token into the Pavilion wallet, and utility for free NFT of those in cohort 1. We already discussed that, so I think we're fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's take some questions from the live chat.
On that, like the utilities, those sort of asking specifically about utilities of those NFTs. Yeah. So I think I can probably say a bit more about it. So Yeah, we've covered a little bit of this in the live gameplay demo, but the utility is essentially like there's going to be the free land NFTs. The utility of those is they allow you to place creatures and items onto onto the land for breeding. It also enables you to connect with other players, so you can connect your land and work as a community. And then with the creatures, the first pass utility will be raising the creatures and breeding creatures to raise. And then what else? And then I guess the utility after that will be battles, etc. But the first utility will be the breeding and raising and community growth.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so E-Time asked us, when is the rocket ship taking off? I'm guessing about the launch of the game. It's actually a common question nowadays.
Yeah. It's a good question. I think, okay, so the funny thing, I think I covered this a little bit in the last gameplay demo, but when it comes to like a PvP battle mode, it's really hard to launch that with anything under like 95% perfection. Because if it's PvP, then it's got to be balanced, or else it's just a bad game, right? So you can imagine Street Fighter, but there's one character who just kicks everyone's ass, right? It's just even if it could be a great game, the best fighting game in the world, is just gonna not be great. So with the battle game, that would always be a matter of us getting it to to that sort of like point of perfection where we think, okay, this is ready. With this village mode, even after 2 weeks of development on it, it was already like really fun. So we've just added a lot more fun since then and kept on adding more and more fun. So I would say having a good release of the village could be a lot sort of looser, because I think if people play it as it is, people will already see like it's already fun. It's already evident to see how it's going to be even more fun. So that said, I think we are aiming to get people in there sooner rather than later. I think even if we get even when we get that to like 70%, I think we're right now probably at 50%, let's say. But if we get that to 70%, I think it's good enough to go, because you can already see the fun, and it's kind of obvious how it's going to get even more fun. As for a specific date, like I think I don't think I'm probably far away from being able to do that. I mean, so from a development point of view, so as we all know, we developed the battle mode. This new village mode came out of the idea of let's just try raising creatures in a creche, and then so we kind of like added a creche mode into the menu, and then that became a village mode, and now we're putting things into the village. So because this mode wasn't sort of a part of our original plan, if you sort of start something from scratch, like with the plan, then you build all the technology to sort of suit that tech stack. Whereas we kind of like tried a thing, extended. So it means that we need to go back a little bit and sort of like pull some stuff apart and re-put it together in this new sort of like sort of tech stack pipeline, now that we know what it is. So the next few weeks are going to be that. At which point we can sort of then start adding new features again. So I think I'll be able to put, so to my point, I wouldn't put a timeline on it before we've kind of done that cleanup pass. But once we've got that cleanup pass and we know that that's solid, then it's much easier to put a date on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but not far off is my impression, right? Yeah. I mean, look, okay, I'll quickly add. I was actually, it wasn't announced, but I was actually hoping to get something out before Christmas. That was my realistic.
Like for the beta version.
Yeah, for the beta version. Yeah. That was my kind of at that point realistic goal. But then we sort of found that we need to do a bit more cleanup as we kind of added a few more features. We just found, okay, we actually really need to do a bit more cleanup in the back end of this before we launch. So so it was not unrealistic that it could have been before Christmas, but we decided to do this like stability pass basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Naruto trainer. Okay, so he's already a trainer. He would be able to easily take care of the creatures into the village.
Cool.
Will we try to target market current Axie players, since they would be familiar with the style of the game and this crypto place.
Yeah. I think Axie players would be definitely interested in this. Especially, I guess one thing I'll say is I talk a lot about having lots of different ecosystems in Wonderman Nation. And again, I kind of want to leave a few surprises for launch. So I want to be careful about what I say. But besides there being kind of multiple games in the ecosystem, one of the main sort of things with driving players into Axie was kind of doing battles to try to get SLP, right. So that was kind of the main thing. Whereas we want to add a few different things, so people could come in. I'll give away one thing. So the idea is that people could come into the ecosystem as being like a breeder, someone who kind of like manages the creatures for people. So somebody might want to buy a big sort of swathe of creatures, but like I don't want to deal with the day to day. Whereas someone else might be like, I love this side of the game. Like it's kind of like the Animal Crossing side or the Pokemon side. So people were kind of like made different parts of the game for that. And there are a few more avenues to that too. So I won't say exactly what it is, but if you think back to kind of like old kind of World of Warcraft games and things like that, where there were things that people did in the ecosystem that weren't allowed by Blizzard or the developer, but people loved doing. So we've kind of gone back and looked at some of those mechanics as well and bringing those into the ecosystem. So there's going to be a bunch of different ways we can target those players. And I think on that point too, I think one thing that will appeal to a lot of people who play at Axie Infinity and other similar games is things like because one of the biggest barriers was owning a creature, whereas we don't have that limitation because you can come in and use other people's creatures. So people can come in and start playing for free without having to commit lots of money to it.
Okay, that's really good, and actually I think you answered another question. So yeah, Tani Rain, any more sex and Dex listings planned for Wonder, Nectar, Soul, and KCal?
Oh, full stop. Okay.
That's the question, but yeah.
I'm kind of like I've got the questions over here, but I'm kind of not looking at them, so I like to get fed them like live, so I can just like think about and respond. None at this. I can't speak for Soul and KCal, but for Wonder, not at this stage. We do have exchanges writing to us often, asking us to do listings, but there's just kind of not much point in managing listings at the moment. So for us, it'd be getting the game out to our community and to our players, to our cohorts, growing that, getting those people playing it, and agreeing that it's great, and then bringing more people in and using the ecosystem, driving some demand, and then at around that point we can start looking at new exchanges.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you try to align the release of the game with the bull run, or just once you feel the game is ready? I think this is obvious, but
yeah. Once you feel the game is ready is the obvious one. But that said, I mean, if the game got to ready and there's a particular window near to that's really good or really bad, then we will go for it or avoid it. But for the most part, we're not. From the start, we've been trying to not build a game that just relies on a bull run. Obviously, launching into a bull run will help you, or it could actually hurt you too, right? Like depending on what the stage of the game is. If the game's in beta and there's a bull run and you open up for too many people because there's users there, but then they come in and crash the game and make it worse for everyone. So so the game comes first. And in terms of bull runs, one thing we often kind of go back to is that games work really well in economic downturns. Like games outside of crypto, games generally work really well in economic downturns. So and our focus is making a great game. So whether there's a bull run or not, we're aiming to make a game that's good regardless.
Yeah. There's another question from Kind. How can we qualify for the closed beta? So yeah, we already discussed about this. I'm not sure if you were aware, but basically you have to keep your tokens stored in the Pavilion wallet. That would be like the first way for you to be able to test the game, one of the first, and then we can release them to the Binance chain holders.
Yep.
I already answered it.
And look, some of that stuff is for us to talk to the community about as well. I think, like, everyone's going to have a different point of view. You can't please everyone all of the time, right? But essentially, I think people will understand the logic. Like, we should look after, our original cohorts in that order. The 1K NFT holders, we promised them that we're giving them first access to the beta release. Okay, great. But beyond that, there might be people who missed out on that, who came in like after we did our token sale, who have been in the community for a long time. They sort of feel like they've been here on the journey, even though they didn't get into those. So I think it's definitely logical that we'd have a way for them to do a sign up and get involved, where they can kind of come in for like a cohort 4 or whatever we want to call it, a whitelisting.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely be open to do like another kind of whitelist push. So maybe that's something we should talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we already have the data in Telegram, and we can see who our most active community members were, like throughout the time, and we can maybe also, even if they don't have some of them, they weren't present to get the first K NFT, we can also invite them and our most active members, so which that can be done, of course.
Yeah, I love the idea of that.
Sultan Ali asked if there will be a mobile version of this game. If so, when it will be releasing.
Yeah, so we've been targeting browser, which means it's available on any device with a browser. That said, we have had a bunch of people asking us about an app, like an installable app, like a package. So yeah, I think we will probably make an installable app as well. But yes, mobile will be available on mobile on a browser at the very least, and maybe an app as well.
Yeah, so that's I have a question for about this. So, is this a hard thing to do? Like, is create an app based on a web version of the game is hard to like how do you call it? Like migrate all of the data into one app, and would this be kind of complicated to make or to transfer everything so you can have an app ready?
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, we're not making our own engine for this. Like with our other projects, our driver training, simulation stuff, we've got our own engine. We have to kind of build that for different platforms. That's more complicated. It's still not super complicated, but like it's more. We're using Unity for this. So it's not just always they kind of make it like hit a button and it's done. Usually there is a bit more work to it than that, but it's
Okay.
more, so it wouldn't concern me about sort of doing it initially. It's more about like managing it long term. You kind of want a kind of programmer who's kind of looking after the app version, and then another one who's looking after the web version. So that as you keep on developing and releasing, they both stay stable. So it's less about making the original app. It's about maintaining.
Okay. Thank you. So Andy asked, is Wonder still the main token? Short answer, yes.
Yes.
And it would always be.
Yeah.
Are you working? Okay, yeah, this is a question for you personally, I think. Kyan asked, are you working for Wonderman full time, or are you also working on other projects in parallel?
I work on, you can ask my friends, I work on Wonderman full time, and I work on 22 and other projects full time. Like, that's the problem. I mean, I work a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's actually, I think this is really good because it keeps you, alert. Even though you have to focus on other projects, I don't consider this being something bad. Rather than, this guy is so active and has so many ideas and keeps doing a lot of good things. I'm not sure if this was intended to, make you look bad or something.
No, it's a valid question. I mean, we're here for an ask me anything. Yeah, the thing I'll say is like I've always been good at context switching. I guess is the word everyone will probably know, right? So whether switching between projects or apps and or whatever, I can kind of like hold different projects and designs in my head. Um, yeah, like I mean, a little sort of side story would be like I have people who are just solely on one of the projects who come to me with questions and ask me where things are on the server, and I'm like, well, it's in this folder in that directory over there, and we did that thing and blah blah, and that's where that's up to. So even people who are working on specific projects kind of just one project forget where things are and forget what they're doing sometimes. Like so, whereas I just sort of can hold it in my mind, so it's fine.
Yep. Let's see.
So I mean, one thing I'll say is like if things go really really well, like I mean, I don't want to be working like this forever. I work really hard. I work long days and yeah, lots of hours. So ideally, like in a year or two, if things are going great and the rocket ship takes off, we'll hire some more people.
Okay. Yeah, so Naruto trainer again. So I'm very excited about the quality and the time put into this game by quality developers, which is missing in crypto. I agree. Will there be different outreach strategies for the different chains Wonderman launches on?
No, no, not particularly.
Yeah, why? I mean, if we find a perfect strategy, I'm sure that it would stick with every chain that we're launched on. So
Yeah. I mean, there might be a thing where someone comes to us and say, like, say Binance ask us to do something special on their NFT sale platform. We have a strategy for small parcels of NFTs for their community. I mean, that we could do that sort of stuff, but for the most part, it's the one strategy.
okay. Yeah, so Kain actually answered to my concern, about that question that if you work on multiple projects, the questions about working on different projects was in no way negative. Just wondering. I love your commitment. Keep up the good work. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
And another question from him: how can we help as a community besides spreading the good word? Obviously.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I guess one of my failings, if you could call it that, is because I am so heavy and deep into keeping up with all of the teams and the development, and especially at this stage of the project where we're kind of trying to get everything over the line, is I don't have a lot of time to think about activating with the community. And then Raz, you often come back to me with suggestions. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, let's do that later. Um, I think we should definitely start touching on this point. But again, I think I'd say like you guys in the community right now, you've been following us for a while. You're aware of what we're doing, and you're excited about it, and that's awesome. But if you sort of go out and do too much advocating now and bring people in, if the game's not launched, then it might be sort of time not well spent, or those people might sort of not see the game and slip away. Whereas if we can do something later on where you can kind of invite a friend into your alliance, and then they can kind of get access to your creatures and get involved and help you out, in some kind of gamification way and get into the game, then I see that as a really sticky community activity. So, yeah, I think something.
Yeah, I also recommend it, because there were other people who asked me about this. You just can invite your friends for now, because as soon as we have the game prepared, and maybe after the beta version and after a few tests, we will definitely have a lot of activities that are involving the community. I have a lot of ideas prepared, but I see no point, as Garth mentioned, the game is not launched yet. And if we create a big fuss around it, that can, be a really good addition to our community, may lose patience before the game launch. And that would not be something that we would want to happen. So, yeah, but as soon as we are close, we will definitely have some other things to do together. We need a solid, fun game for years to come. The problem is with the current blockchain games is that they are not fun and mostly thinking about bull run hype and profits. Build for gamers, please. So yeah, that's not a question. That was actually a request. Yeah, build for gamers, please. That's really thoughtful. And I think, yeah, this game will also be. But I actually have a few questions about this, so I wouldn't want to ruin the surprise. But this will definitely be our first target. Just the game to be fun, built for gamers. Also, we will have a free version, like where people that are not involved in crypto can play. So definitely, this is one of our targets.
Yeah, and I'll say like from the sort of like the personal developer studio standpoint, um, there are a lot of crypto projects who come in as people who are first time developers and they're trying to make a crypto game and they're trying to make something big and they sort of shill it and they're just sort of focusing on the crypto side. Whereas every developer in Godi has been making games since before blockchain and crypto, and we've always like our whole careers and experience have been based on building games that are fun to play for gamers, regardless of crypto and tokens. And then the genesis of our company was to do, even before blockchain and crypto, we wanted to do games with a digital token ecosystem, because we saw ways to kind of use those ecosystems to kind of enhance the game. So it's our studio focus like from the start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, when are we having an AMA for Ascent Resurgence and Race Up game, including gameplay demo? This is not related, but if you want to answer.
Yeah, it's a good question. Not too far away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you consider partnerships with other crypto projects if beneficial?
Yes, it's beneficial. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll make a kind of quick comment. Is that it's like the I don't know, the whole kind of world of crypto and partnerships is a bit funny. Like partnerships is a strong word. Like typically partnerships are people who share resources and things. Like they kind of partnerships are very legally binding. So, but I mean, sort of that said, even if we don't do like quote unquote partnerships, activating with other people who we kind of like work with for sure.
Yeah, probably he was referring to other games, probably. Because crypto projects, I mean, yeah, it's a larger palette here. But of course, if something is beneficial for both, of course, it will be something there. Someone asked, are we going to partner with YGG? But I'm not sure that, I mean, I don't know what's YGG. Do you know?
Yeah, that's Yield Guild Games. So they're all one of the guilds that started with Axie Infinity. But yeah, all of as far as I'm aware, mostly or all of those guilds that align with Axie Infinity are kind of not doing those kinds of things anymore because like Axie Infinity has not done that well. But yeah, in terms of working with guilds, yeah, we are connected to some guilds. But it's an interesting thing because like we're essentially disrupting the guild model by having players be able to build sort of raise creatures and then stake those creatures for live marketplace play. So we'll kind of change the guild ecosystem model. And again, if you get too many guilds in, typically they want a big financial reward for that. So yeah, be careful what you wish for. Like if we can release a game and get just gamers in, and then gamers share the ecosystem, then it's more of a decentralized, fair ecosystem, versus getting guilds in who want to take a large part of the pie from the ecosystem to access their audience. So it's definitely a balance to be struck there.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, someone responding. It's a gaming guild. Yeah, we just ran out of questions from the live chat, and I actually have a lot into my document here. So we'll try to just answer as much as we can. So yeah, are there any plans after the launch to bridge or to support Optimism or Arbitrum, these two blockchains with small commissions as well as Phantasma?
I haven't looked at it, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any new
But
listings?
we're open to using other blockchains where it makes sense. So yeah, if anyone has any ideas they want to throw at you, Raz, and then you can go through them and bring them back to us.
Yeah, I have a few stuff that I've seen, and I think both of the blockchains are good. So we should take a look at that. Any new listings in the works? We already discussed this. Like in the works, not really, but definitely after or closer to the launch, we will think about some other options. But right now we're comfortable with what we have. We already have like both centralized and decentralized exchange available for everyone. But yeah, I mean, we can also like make a pool where people can add their preferred exchange, and we can maybe discuss this later on.
Yep.
Yeah, about the last week's gameplay. Okay, you mentioned that creatures from different plots and with different owners can interact with each other. How will we be able to differentiate them? I think I asked this during our live gameplay, and you mentioned something that we have like a tab where we can see our own creatures, but I was thinking like, wouldn't we be able to like have if we mix them together with another player, like one of them to have those boxes above their head red and maybe the other one's blue? That would be like simple to see it with clear eye.
Yeah. I mean that sort of makes sense too. I mean, one thing I think maybe there's a question within your question, which is if people breed their creatures. So with your own creatures, you got your own inventory, so it'd be pretty clear who's in your inventory. And there's another window where you can kind of like go and find your creatures, so you can kind of click on them and you can see who's who. So it should be fine. Yes, having like sort of another thing that sort of shows the player owner next to it, that's fine too. But when people breed their two creatures together inside the village, that bred creature will be owned by one of the players, not both.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty clear who's your baby and who's someone else's baby.
Yeah. What is your solution against inflationary breeding?
This is like a bit of a multi-tier answer. I guess I'll try to keep it quick. So the first thing is, with Axie Infinity, you had to have a creature before you could play. Whereas we don't have that problem with Wonderman Nation. So in a situation where you've got everyone sort of breeding creatures to give access to the game, there's this kind of massive inflation that has to happen in line with the players. But then if players drop off, then those creatures exceed, like the supply exceeds the demand, or vice versa, right? So in our model, those two things don't have to line up. So if people come in, there's a high demand, then there can be creatures on the marketplace that are available, like the live marketplace, available for people to play with, which can give the nectar rewards, or even then we can spin up sort of non-NFT creatures for people to play with. So people can play with non-NFT creatures for not nectar rewards, so we don't have to. So we can kind of like balance the supply and demand, and then beyond that, there's multiple games that we can kind of control utility and the spread of the NFTs across those ecosystems. So it's a whole bunch of things that kind of work together.
Okay. Yeah. It's quite complicated, but yeah. Thanks for simplifying this as much as you can. Yeah, I saw there was 20 plus creatures in the village. Is the creatures going to be related to an NFT? Yes.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Short.
Yes.
Also, what was initial target audience for the game? Yeah, that's kind of interesting question, and I was really eager to hear your response.
Yeah, so the initial target market was kind of, let's say, 24 to 34, and then pushing up to sort of like 40, but the core market was like 24 to 34, around 25 to 35, around that. But we've had a bunch of casual kind of play testing with people who come into our studio. We've found it to be really popular with kids, like really popular, or sort of like to the point of they start playing it and we can't kick them off our work PCs without a bit of a battle. So yeah, and as I just mentioned, like if when we have creatures who are non NFTified and there's no reward for that, that's fine. That's probably like a good sort of aspect of the game to kind of target kids so they can kind of play this game that doesn't have that crypto side to it, or that sort of part of the game. So those two things can kind of interact or be a bit separate as well.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
definitely skewed younger. It's kind of strange, but yeah.
It's really interesting. I actually have some feedback. I think I already told you, but let's share this with the audience as well. So, as close to finish, my toddler came into the room and he jumped in my lap and he was like mesmerized by the gameplay. And I instantly was thinking, oh my God, this would be such a success through all of age ranges, like from the small kids, like I don't know how at what age they start using the computer, like 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
something around this, and throughout like instantly to 40, 35, and 40. But yeah, we'll actually I'm gonna be so curious about who will be our oldest player. Can we just catch this statistic somewhere? Would we be able to do it?
Yeah, we can for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one approximate date of launch, special events or partnerships planned for the game launch. Are there any special events, partnerships?
We have so we have some really good investors who have access to great KOLs, key opinion leaders, and influencers. So we do have people that we're connected to. Once we have the game ready to play and we kind of have gone through our closed beta, that's when we start to kind of put the nuts and bolts on the actual sort of full launch plan and partnerships.
Yeah, you can actually take a look at the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Just Fatini just shot you, us a message.
Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, that's my partner.
Excellent AMA, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Fatini. Yeah, let's see. They relive. So we had like a. Let's see. Yeah, someone asked if there will be any compensation in game, probably like for early investors. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm.
So that was kind of what I touched on before. So as people come into as people come into the game later on, just getting creatures and just getting land and just getting items that you need for your land, like the barns and the toys, etc. There'll be things that people will have to buy for larger amounts of money. We kind of want to lock off and block off the whole breeding part. So that's the first thing. So people who come to the game initially will get those things for so it'll be like buy a creature, get all that stuff for free, essentially. Or get a lot of that stuff for free. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I kind of touched on this a little bit in the live gameplay demo, is when you have an alliance that's started by, so somebody can have a plot, but that's started by what we're kind of calling the chieftain. So someone would kind of place an NFT, which would be like a chieftain totem, and then people can connect to that. And so the people who start early will kind of start these alliances, and then the alliances themselves will have the battle block. So what we want to do is, instead of us kind of, again, we've kind of had to rethink a bit. We've been forced to rethink a bit of this stuff because the village is so darn good. So the design right now is that if you've got an alliance, the PvP battle modes take place kind of in stadiums that are attached to that alliance. So every alliance will get a battle block, which is the stadiums for play. So it means that when people come in and play the PvP battle modes later on, they'll be happening on battle blocks that alliances own and manage, which means that they'll get a cut of rewards for doing that. So essentially, for the early players, you can imagine if you're coming in, you're getting this land, and these items are free. You're breeding the creatures. You're the chieftains or the early adopters, like close in. Like these alliances kind of spread out from a center, and people can connect with each other. So if you're kind of in that inner circle, and the beginning players, you'll get all the benefits of the flow-on rewards from the battle blocks, the alliances, and having access to the breeding, which will be something that people later on. Will have to kind of buy into a bit more.
Okay. Any detailed information about staking?
I don't know if I can kind of detail it much more, really. So I think in terms of if you we're going to try to keep as much of it gameplay related as possible. So for people who stake creatures for other players to use, then you get a cut of rewards on the play of those creatures when they've been used in battles. That's our main mechanic. We do like the idea of offering some nectar rewards for people who just stake Wonder in a sort of a less active way. But yeah, I think that'll be a lesser cut than people who actually engage in the ecosystem.
Okay. Something not related to the game, but someone asked me to ask you if you think that the bull run has already started, or and yeah, let's answer to this right now. Actually, I can see something related to the game.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, as do none of us. It seems strange. I mean, to be honest, if there was a bull run, I expected it to happen later. I kind of thought like from April, kind of May next year onwards would be more likely. So I'm kind of surprised a little bit that's happening so early, but it does seem like there's a bit of great attention. I'm sort of across financial markets globally, so I kind of watch how money moves. I watch financial news every day. It definitely does seem like hedge funds in the US wanting to get into EFTs, and they've had that approval through the SEC that they can start putting money into, sort of into buying and owning Bitcoin and Ethereum for their customers. That does seem to have started.
The ETFs.
Yeah, exactly. So ETFs, sorry, yeah. So that does seem to have started something off. So
yeah,
seems like it.
And another question from the same guy. When will the game officially be released for the public to play? But we already discussed about this. Someone asked us if we can do like something about the time zones for both America and Europe. We already discussed about this. I'm thinking like maybe after the launch, if we see like a big audience coming from US, maybe we can like do something about this, because we're obviously in 3 different time zones if you think about this. So I'm in Europe, Garth in Australia, and we will be also thinking about hosting AMAs for the US time zones. But I think this is doable, and we can do this as soon as we get the ball rolling with the game and so on. I'm pretty sure that there will be no problem regarding this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to go back to the kind of earlier point, like the last kind of, I mean, I tend to work late. I don't tend to finish before midnight or kind of 1, but even like the last few weeks, I've been finishing at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then getting up and being at work by 10 to work with the team, again, because I've got to sort of be there and, sort of make sure I'm there when they're there, and then they leave at sort of 6 p.m., and then I continue on and come home and have dinner and work on, right? So then it comes to the weekend, and, we want to do an AMA or whatever, and I've got to spend some time with my child, and I need to get some sleep in so I can kind of function for the next week. I kind of find if I don't get a bit of rest on the weekend, the next week I'll be trash. So So that said, for us to do a good time zone for the US, I'd have to get up early on a weekend, which means I'm sort of sacrificing my next week of development with the team. So I think right now that doesn't make much sense because my prime focus needs to be with the development team to get the game developed in a good state. But once we're closer to release and the game's solid, then I think I can set an
Yeah,
alarm
and
clock and get up earlier and yeah.
we can also do it like during the weekdays. I think it can be done like this, so you can actually rest during the weekends. I know that I'm looking forward for some weekends from time to time. Let's move to the chat because someone asked a really good question. Will the creatures be dated/numbered based on when they were born? Will early released creatures be special in any ways?
So yes, I'll quickly mention that creatures, if you recall, I might share a link later on, but if you recall from the first live gameplay demo, they actually have birthdays and they have star signs attached to those, which is kind of a mechanic I haven't talked about too much. But yeah, so there's some things that play into their birthday and their age that affect the game. Yeah. Like I said, I kind of don't want to say too much about some of this stuff because sometimes it's fun for us to make a mechanic and not talk about exactly how it works so that the game players can come in later on and try to figure that out.
But it's also nice that the community thought about stuff like that. That's actually really interesting. Yeah. So what's your vision for Web3 game space? What are we thinking about Pavilion's role and the vision?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess it's a complicated one, but like I think I've had the vision for wanting to do like what's now called Web3, but just gaming with like real ecosystems for over a decade. My vision for the industry as a whole is I think not every game needs to be a Web3 game, that's for sure, right? But for games that could be benefited by having a token being sort of Web3 enabled, I think we'll see a lot more of that. I think a lot of the current people in the gaming space, I don't know if people in the crypto space realize, but there's kind of two camps. There's like Web2 people, game developers who are really against Web3, and then there's Web3 people who think it's the future. So there's a bit of a gulf between, but I think that gulf will be crossed, if that's the right word for it, or be closed. I think it'll just be a matter of a few years. I think we'll see a lot more Web2 games moving into Web3. And Pavilion's role in that, we do have some kind of big plans for Pavilion. But Pavilion is one of those projects that's been getting less of my focus over the games that I'm making, so I will say that. So, but coming closer to release Wonderman, we need to kind of do some stuff in Pavilion to get it ready for Wonderman. So, yeah.
Okay. What will keep the game from being too expensive for people to play once Wonder price starts skyrocketing and market cap swells? How do we not become another Axie Infinity, which became too price prohibitive for people to play? Axie success was a big part of its downfall with users. My gut tells me Wonderman Nation could be one of the biggest hits to date coming from the crypto space. So yeah, coming back to the question, what will keep the game from becoming too expensive for people to play once Wonder price starts skyrocketing?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for the thumbs up there for expecting a great game. Look, I think we kind of answered that question before, right? So one of the main things is we built it from the start to be like you don't have to spend money to get involved in the game, actually. So free to play if you want to come in and use other people's creatures. So our first generation of creatures players will get those creatures, and then we'll have them on the marketplace. You can just come in and play for free.
And I think 3 more questions. What are our plans to grow the community, or when are we going to start interacting with the wider Web3 gaming community?
Again, that comes back to that kind of point we brought up before. Is when you've got a game there that's playable and it's great, that's a great time to start engaging with other communities and doing crossovers and attracting people in, because once you attract them in, you want them to you want to spend some money and do these activities and bring players, and then have those players stick in the community, stick in the game because it's great. So yeah, at around release.
Yeah, I think that's the best idea, and I'm not sure why are people that are seeing this as a problem and want to gather community members prior to the launch, because I think actually it's like the only way for us to be able to retain more community. Like when the game will be ready, like right then and there to just start gathering or start spreading and making people aware of this, because this is not like a game is not to be comparable to a token where you can just people will jump in at whatever time, because like a token is really easy to be created and just you can create hype and do whatever you want from the start. But right now we are working at something really complex and very, very different from just a simple token.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some of that stuff is kind of maybe a bit of a hangover of like how Web 2 was done in 2021, sort of early 2022, where people could kind of like run on speculation and kind of grow a community and grow hype, and then the token goes up and that brings in more hype and people get excited about it. But then ultimately, if the game doesn't ship or ships it doesn't ship or they ship a bad game, then it all dies down and you've kind of wrecked a lot of people and a lot of people are disappointed. So yeah, let's get the game in there and then bring the people in.
Yeah. When would we be bringing back the ambassador program? I guess that closer to the launch we can think of something. Like all of my last questions are like around the fact that when are we going to grow the community? When are we going to interact with other entities throughout the Web3 gaming and stuff like that? So maybe if you have something like to share about this, and we can actually wrap this up.
Yeah, cool. I mean, again, I think we'll probably run the closed beta to our initial cohorts, like our current community, and then like once everyone's got in there and had a great time, and give them feedback, because of course in a first launch there's going to be crashes, there's going to be some bugs. Let's all work together to solve those and make sure that we've all got a really stable game and a fun game. I'm more if I was out of those two things, I'm less concerned about making a fun game than I am making a stable game. There's going to be bugs that we can't get. Like you push it out to 1,000 people, a 1 in 1,000 bug is going to happen, right? So yeah, I'm more concerned about getting stability. Once we have that, then we can start to push bigger and wider, get the ambassadors in, and start blowing it up.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it from my end. If you want to add something else, please do. Otherwise, we can have we can wrap this up.
Yeah, cool. I mean, from my side, I don't know if you're asking me or the community for anything more, but from my side, yeah, I guess we'll be in an hour. I think we've answered some great questions. Once again, I want to thank everyone for being involved in Wonderman Nation. I want to thank everyone for their patience and support throughout. Obviously, it's been a couple of delays. Like we had the development hiccup on the Battle version 1.0. We've made a version 1.2. That went great. Now we've got a bit of a twist in direction here, but I really appreciate everyone sticking around and sort of staying on the vision and seeing what we're building and supporting it and loving it. So thank you everyone for being here and watching and supporting.
Yeah. And also thank you everyone for joining this AMA. I know that for some of us, like Naruto Trainer, which is from US, we really appreciate it. You woke up early for to be present here, and of course others. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate every question that was thrown to us, and yeah, I think we can, if you have any other questions, you can write up on Telegram. I'll try to answer everything that I can, and when I'm not, I'm as always pinging Garth for some answers, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, so we have another community member too who just joined. Yeah, pretty late to the party, but no worries. You will be able to rewatch this in a short period of time. So yeah.
Yeah. So on the Pavilion channel, there's the live. I don't know why it's so hidden, but if you click on that live panel, you can go see all the live AMAs. So you can go back and watch.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And thank you, Raz, for taking some time out
Thank you, Garth.
out of your day over there. I know you've had to kind of make a trip to another place because your toddler is asleep. So I appreciate that.
Life with kids. Yeah, no problem. It was like as always a pleasure, and yeah, I'm really happy that we could hear and see each other, at least virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and okay, yeah. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Garth, for all of the great questions and concerns that you were able to answer. And yeah, we'll keep you updated for the next AMA or live gameplay, or maybe a beta release. We'll see which one will happen first.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome, Raz.
Cheers.
Right. Thanks, and thanks everyone for joining.
Bye, guys.
Bye.